Good evening. Welcome to the Caucus meeting for the Florence City Council. First on the agenda is special recognition. And this is for our members of our business community. We are so pleased tonight to be recognizing Busald, Funk, and Zevely on their 50th anniversary of doing business in the city of Florence. How about that? So we have a proclamation, and then we're going to do a little photo op, so if you bear with us. The proclamation reads, whereas the city of Florence is proud to recognize Busald, Funk, and Zevely, PSC, which was founded in 1971 and has served the Florence community in the Northern Kentucky region for over 50 years, providing trusted legal counsel while contributing to the growth, stability, and success of our community. And whereas for more than 5 decades, Busald, Funk, and Zevely has earned a reputation for integrity, professionalism, and excellence while upholding the highest ethical standards of the legal profession. And whereas throughout its history, the firm's attorneys and staff have demonstrated a strong commitment to the community through civic leadership, volunteerism, charitable involvement, and public service, making a meaningful impact both inside and outside the courtroom. And whereas the firm's continued success is a testament to the vision of its founders and the dedication of its attorneys, staff, and clients whose support has enabled the firm to grow while remaining committed to excellence and service. And whereas the City of Florence proudly recognizes local businesses whose longevity, leadership, and commitment to the community contribute to the city's continued growth, prosperity, and quality of life. Now, therefore, I, Julie Aubuchon, Mayor of the City of Florence, and on behalf of the members of Florence City Council, do hereby proclaim July 21st, 2026 as Busald, Funk, Zevely Day in the City of Florence. Congratulations. If we could have the representatives from Busald, Funk, and Zevely to come to the podium there and introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm Anthony Busald, and the founder of Busald, Funk, Zevely. We have many attorneys who have come and gone. I have a number of my, goodness gracious, yes. We have a bunch of them here.
You got a whole bunch.
And as an extra added attraction, we have an alumnus who's on your, well, is your city attorney,
Yeah.
Tom Nienaber. Tom was with us for 30 years, I guess, wasn't it 30,
Yeah,
Tom, something like that?
Just shy, yeah.
Wow. So, these are a few of my law partners. I'll have each one introduce themselves.
Good evening already. I'm Mike McMain.
Greg Erpenbeck. Drew Harris. Ryan Duck. Ethan Bustal.
Caitlin Klosowski.
Bill Kathman.
How
All
about that?
right.
We want to thank the City of Florence for this privilege of addressing you and for the beautiful proclamation that you've given for us and for all the wonderful years that we've been here in Florence. I mean, we've had opportunities to go other places, but we never did. And we love this place. You know, when we opened shop in 1971, it was at 226 Main Street, which was the beating heart of Florence at the time, and had lots of good reasons to be there. It was Bill Funk's home, and he wanted us to move into his home so he could move into his new home, and it was on the bus line. And by God, it's still on the bus line today, and we're still in the same location. Very, very pleased, very happy that the City of Florence has been so good to us, and we hope we can have another 50 great years with the City of Florence. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I will remember the Florence Y'all days where the stage was set up in your parking lot for the
Yes,
entertainment.
that's true.
So many of cloggers and dance groups and singers and talent shows and whatever were up
We
there.
opened a booth, Ask a Lawyer a Question. We had
There
that
you
for about 5 years, too. That was fun.
There were
That's
some
great.
scary answers, too.
Yeah.
Well, some scary questions as well.
Both ways.
Any of my cohorts want to say something?
Set it all
What
together.
what I'd like for you to do is we're going to bring you up inside here, and I want council to come down, if you will, to
Okay.
join me in the picture.
In the
Mr.
bullpen.
Neighbor, you need to go down there as an alumni. An alumnus.
Come on, yeah. Get down here. After making me, you gotta come.
I'll let you not be in it.
We're gonna see, yeah, we're gonna scoot a little in. Okay, Gary, I need Diane and Dave to scoot in, and then Tom and everybody squeeze in like an inch. Maybe two. I don't know. All right, well, I just don't want the podium in there. Okay, everybody this way, smile. On 3. Perfect, gotcha.
Take care.
Hey, Bill? Bill? Hey, Bill? Yes. How are you? Huh?
Thank you. Thank you.
12 months.
I had an appointment speaking there. I know
Oh,
you're just.
Bill, don't remind me. Don't remind me.
All right. Thank you all so much for coming tonight.
Yeah.
Next, we have the oath of office for a couple of promotions. So I'm going to call on Chief Mallory.
Thank you, Mayor. You guys come on in here. Thank you all for coming tonight. Tonight we're here to perform the oath of office for 2 new promotions. First is Sergeant Derek Jackson, and next is Corporal Caleb Salfeld. First, Sergeant Jackson has served the department for more than 9 years as an officer in a patrol unit. In addition to his patrol duties, he also serves as a field training officer and a drone operator. Next, Corporal Salfeld has served the department for more than 4 years as an officer in the patrol unit. And including to his patrol duties, he serves as a field training officer, crime scene unit, honor guard, drone operator, and as a SWAT team member. So we are extremely fortunate to have both these men on our department. Look forward to their future. So please join me in congratulating both men on their new promotions.
You want me to do them one at a time?
If you want to do them both, that's fine.
Okay. Let's raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Kentucky so long as you remain a citizen thereof, and that you will faithfully execute to the best of your ability the office of Police Corporal or Police Sergeant for the Florence Police Department according to law? And do you further solemnly swear that since the adoption of the present Constitution, you have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within the state nor out of it, nor have you accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have you acted as a second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending? And do you further solemnly swear that you will endeavor to the best of your ability to detect and prosecute all gamblers and others violating the laws against gaming, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Don't go anywhere.
I just came with my dad. He was chatting it up. Dad? Stand up. My dad, Corey.
I got my girlfriend Alexis, her mom and dad. I've got my grandpa Charlie, Uncle Dave, Aunt Cheryl, and my mom and dad Kurt and Sunita.
Thank you all for coming again. The support of family and friends is huge for our department and our officers, so thank you all very much.
Thank you for sharing him with our family from your family, so we appreciate that, and we'll take good care of him.
Thank you.
So we gonna get a picture?
That way y'all are centered just a little.
Yeah, family can come on up. and take
Yeah.
pictures. Yeah, that's fine.
Are we ready? Look this way. I'll take one and then y'all can, that way they're looking. Perfect, I'm out of y'all.
Thank you.
Let me get one more.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you, family. I looked back, yeah, it wasn't open. All right, this way. Good job.
Thank you very much. Come on, Grandpa.
And we'll let Chief Mallory get settled back in his chair. He's got the next agenda item, a donation of police cruisers to Madison County.
Each year, our department is fortunate enough to have money approved through council to purchase new cruisers. The new cruisers are rotated into our fleet, and older cruisers are taken out, ones with high mileage or any mechanical issues. The older cruisers become spares, and then those spares are either put into auction or used by other city departments. And this year we have several that are set up to go to auction or other city departments. But we were recently contacted by Chief Ben Wilcox from the newly formed Madison County School Police Department in Madison County, Kentucky. They decided to create their own police department, and Chief Wilcox had to start from the ground up to make this department work. So he reached out to every department in the state to see if they had any surplus cruisers. And they need 20 to outfit all their SROs to have a certified officer in the schools to make sure that they're protecting the kids of Madison County. So tonight we're asking for council's approval to help out Madison County School Department, Police Department, by donating 2 of our cruisers, surplus cruisers. One's a 2001, or I'm sorry, cruiser number 2001. It's a 2020 Ford Interceptor. And the other one is cruiser number 2003, which is also a 2020 Interceptor. So we're just asking if we can donate these to Madison County.
Is there any discussion? All right, that should be on our agenda for the next business meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is discussion. Mr. Morgan, it's consideration of a resolution, R-26016A of the Boone County Planning Commission, recommending approval with conditions for a request from Commonwealth ABA, doing business as Already Autism Health, the applicant for Monahan Development, the co-owner for a concept development plan and an Office 2, Plan Development Parkway Corridor Study District for an approximate 2.174 acre site located at 7627 Ewing Boulevard in Florence, Kentucky. Mr. Morgan.
Thank you. On screen, as always, I'm going to start out with a site vicinity map looking at a 2.174 acre site located at 7627 Ewing Boulevard, right down the road from us. It's a change in concept plan request to allow a playground, which already exists, in the front yard of Commonwealth, which does business as Already Autism Health tenant space. Fences or accessory structures aren't permitted in the front yard of a property that's zoned office, so that's why they're asking for an exception. Of course, an exception can be granted through the PD zoning process or concept development plan. This was the concept plan that was submitted with the request. You can see the 56 by 70 area that's located between the building and Ewing Boulevard. Again, fences are not allowed in the front yard or any accessory structures, so that is the exception. You can see Commonwealth has the north end of the building. Easter Seals Redwood has the south end. They already have a playground behind the building, but that's not part of the request. As far as the zoning of the property, you can see it's Office 2 plan development. Again, the office zone does not allow any playgrounds or accessory structures in the front yard. Property is also part of the Central Florence Strategic Plan. It's in Area 5. It recommends an office park environment in this portion of Ewing Boulevard. Future land use map forecasts the site for commercial uses in the year 2045. As far as the topography of this site, you can see it's 890 feet above sea level in the southern portion of the property, 880 feet on that northwest portion. The front yard is fairly level. Aerial map of the subject area. So this is a view of the existing playground. Again, they constructed it without permits. They did not know they needed a permit. So in my mind, it blends in pretty well. Just a close-up of the area during the public hearing. They said they're really not visualizing any more structures. They might do a sand lot, but it's right now just a swing set and a hammock. Of course, this is a view along Ewing towards the Government Center and a view on Ewing towards 42. This is the Easter Seals playground behind the building. During the public hearing record, they said they could not utilize that space, so they need their own playground. Planning Commission voted 11-1 to approve this, and of course made that as a recommendation to us. The Planning and Zoning Committee met on June 24th, and they're recommending the conditions be amended as follows. Number 1, the fenced area shall only be used as a playground by Commonwealth ABA, which does business as already Autism Health. Secondly, only playground equipment shall be permitted inside the fence. Sheds and similar structures shall not be permitted. Thirdly, the playground fence and all associated equipment shall be removed from the site once Commonwealth ABA vacates the building. So that's my presentation on this one.
Pat and Gary, I know this came before the Planning and Zoning Committee. Do you have any comments or anything that you want to add?
We took a good look at this and understand the need for this location for the playground. This is something that is generally only used by one counselor with one child at a time. They don't have a lot of children that go out there at once. So it's like one child, one adult, and they're supervised the entire time, and then they go back in the building again. We felt like it's a use that's needed by this facility, and the exception would be all right if they agreed to remove it upon vacating that property. So as long as that's the use that's there, it can stay. Once they're gone, it needs to leave.
Mr. Nguyen, do you have anything to add? Anyone else on council have any questions?
please.
Ms. Whalen?
So you said that they constructed the playground without permits. Was not the playground already there from the prior use? There was a fence in the front yard from the prior use.
Not to my knowledge. I thought this playground came with already Autism Health.
How long ago?
I'm not.
From memory, there was another autism-type use in there.
I thought it was the Boone County Early Childhood Development Group. Weren't they in there prior to this?
That's the other side of the building.
Oh, yeah, the other side. But before they started leasing this, there was another use category in there. They put the fence in relatively soon after moving in. That came up during our discussions. I just forget all the dates in line. But the applicant is the one that put the fence in.
So there was not a fence there prior to that fence?
Correct.
Okay.
In the rear, there was.
No, in the front.
Yeah.
I believe that there was one constructed in the front. And, my memory's not the best, but I thought there was even discussion with code enforcement at the time about the fact that there was a fence in the front yard and that it didn't belong there. And this was prior to this use, but when Boone County Schools had their early childhood in there.
Yeah, this came up at the P and Z meeting, and the applicant said they're the ones that put the fence in, so I don't really know beyond that.
It's been a long-standing enforcement issue, but it took some time for it to come in and for them to submit the application.
Like long-standing, 5 years long-standing?
Yeah, enforcement issue.
Yeah.
I don't know, 5 years, maybe 2 years.
Yeah, maybe, I wouldn't say 5 years, certainly, but maybe a year, 2 years.
Because we dealt with in the rear,
I
they
knew
were
the issue in the
fundraising for
rear.
it. Yeah, you remember all that. And that was a request as well. And we looked at moving this to the rear, there's just no room.
I swear I thought there was a fence in that front yard prior to this. I swear I do.
I can go back and look
It
and
just
ask.
seems to me like there was one constructed, that there was conversation about the fact that you can't have a fence in the front yard. There was discussion with code enforcement at the time. Anytime you make an exception to a rule like that, you have to obviously tread very lightly, because what you do for one, you do for all. But I honestly thought that fence had been there a whole lot longer.
We'll go back and we'll look at some Google Street Views and
Yeah.
see if we can get an exact timeline on it.
Just tell me I'm not completely crazy.
It all starts to blur together, that's for sure. We'll look into that.
Yes, we will.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll put it on the agenda for next week. Next is discussion of a resolution R 26018A of the Boone County Planning Commission recommending approval with conditions for a request of McKinsey & Page Logistics. This is for a change of concept development plan in a commercial 2 plan development parkway corridor study district for an approximate 1.7 acre area located along the east side of I-7175 between Tanner's Gate Lane and Tanner's Lane, approximately 150 feet south of Tanner's Lane, being immediately west to the property having an address of 7900 Tanner's Gate Lane and having a parcel identification number of 061.00-00-124.07, Florence, Kentucky, and providing the recommendation be forwarded to the City of Florence, Kentucky. So, Mr. Morgan, again.
Thank you. Again, on screen, I'll start out with a site vicinity map. This is the subject 1.7 acre site outlined in yellow. It's a change of concept plan request to allow M&P Logistics to park 21 box trucks, 21 semi-tractors, and 50 passenger vehicles on that site. Of course, off to the east is their existing office building, also their parking lot for their employees is on that site. So this could be viewed as an accessory use to their office building. As far as a little bit of site history, back in 1987, the property was rezoned to C3 to allow automotive and boat sales, but I could not find any evidence that ever existed on the site. In 2008, the property was rezoned to C2 as part of the Central Florence Strategic Plan update. There are some recommendations in that plan. First is to open up Tanner's Gate area with a pronounced access point on Ewing. Secondly, encourage the removal of industrial-looking buildings and promote new office development. Also found that Moore's Fitness was torn down sometime between 2010 and 2012. You can still see where the building existed. That's the green area on the site that I'll go over with you. So again, the existing zoning of the property is commercial 2 plan development. It's also in the Parkway Corridor study. Again, motor freight terminals and warehousing is not permitted in that zone, so they are seeking an exception with this concept development plan proposal. This was the concept plan that was laid out by Vioxx and Vioxx. I'm just going to do a little bit of a blow-up on that. So again, this is the existing M&P Logistics office, their existing employee parking lot. So this area is immediately adjoining 1.7 acres in area. So this area sorry about that, I clicked. This area right in here is their box trucks, 21 of them. The 2 side areas would be where they would park the passenger vehicles, up to 50. The area up against the interstate would be semi-tractors. So again, don't confuse that with semi-trailers. Just the tractors, 21 of those. Also with this plan, they are showing a landscape buffer yard A, which would be modified with a lot of arborvitaes and junipers and hollies to provide year-round screening. There's also a 3-foot berm within there. And also, they would upgrade the chain link fencing up against the interstate to a 3 or 4 rail horse fence to be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. This is the landscape plan they submitted. Again, they're proposing a lot of arborvitaes, hollies, and junipers. Also some parking lot landscaping in the islands. This is a cross-section that was prepared, so you can see the interstate. There's 52 feet between the edge of the interstate and the berm and fence. And you can see the semi-tractor parking area, the box trucks, and of course, all the way on the right-hand side, the M&P Logistics Office Building. As far as the topography of the site, you can see the office building sits at about 900 feet. Topography goes down to 890 feet above sea level near the interstate. Aerial of the site, so this was the green area I was talking about. That's where the Morse Fitness building used to exist. And most of that green area will remain. So just to give you a little visual, these are the steps that go up to M&P Logistics. This is the area, of course, up against the interstate. So this would be the passenger vehicle parking. Closest to the interstate would be the semi-tractors, and you can see the box trucks. And looking at it from the other direction, this other end would be passenger vehicles up against the interstate, semi-tractors, and you can see the box truck area. And against the enhanced landscape buffer would go closer out to the interstate right-of-way line and the fencing and berm. Just a view of what the building and area looks like from the interstate ramp. Comprehensive plan forecasts the area for commercial uses. So the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval with 2 conditions. They read as follows: the parking storage of semi-trailers, trailers, or freight containers shall be prohibited. Secondly, there shall be no loading, unloading of any kind on the site. And the Planning and Zoning Committee met on June 24th, and they're recommending 1 additional condition be added. That reads: the parking storage of box trucks, semi-tractors, and passenger vehicles shall only be permitted as an accessory use to 7900 Tanner's Gate Lane. And that concludes my presentation.
Any discussion? Pat, do you have anything from?
I'll just add that, again, we talked a lot about this and felt that with the landscaping and buffer yards that they're putting in there, the upgrades along the expressway, it'll be a much nicer look as you're coming up the expressway and exiting off at that 18 off-ramp. We were happy with the plans that they presented but did want to restrict that use to that specific site, that building.
I think the fencing was going to be similar to what they have up around the Y'all Stadium.
Correct.
Yeah.
Anyone else on council?
So I guess I would encourage council to drive by there today, tomorrow. I came down 75 southbound, and it's full. It's full of the tractors, it's full of the box trucks. And I guess partly curious as to the landscaping, how quickly it will grow, how quickly it will actually help to shield or hide some of that, and when the fencing would go in. We've spent a lot of time trying to improve the aesthetics along the expressway. We can't, what they say, put lipstick on a pig, and I understand that, but the work the city's done on landscaping and trees and horse fencing, this is pretty intrusive. So I'm just curious as to how long it will take and how that enforcement will go when it is planned to make sure it is alive, stays alive, and actually does the job it's supposed to do. But I would encourage you all to get on southbound 75 and take a look over at the facility, because you don't notice the building, and they spent a lot of time on that building to make it what it was.
Any other discussion?
Does anybody know any answers about the landscaping?
Brock would be the best one. He's with the landscaping as far as how quickly that will grow and what heights. Do you mind to answer that?
Please come to the podium. Yeah. If you could introduce yourself here.
Introduce both ourselves. I'm Brock McGay. I'm Director of Landscape Architecture at Planning and VOX. I'll speak about the buffer yard. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Steve Hall. I'm president of M&P Logistics owner, my wife and I. So, thank you.
And I do appreciate what you've done there. I mean, when you came into town and took that building from the bank and the hard work that you put into making that a great use for our community.
With all the effort and the way that it looks now, we don't want it to look like a trucking facility, and we are committed to make it, we're very proud of it, and we're very happy to be here. We appreciate your all support.
Yeah, you've done a great job with
Thank
it,
you.
but this is really intrusive looking coming down the expressway right now.
We'll make sure that we jump on it as soon as it's approved. We will have it, the work, and we'll do it to code.
So the buffer yard before was kind of full of a bunch of kind of junk and scrub, so we've kind of cleaned that up. Part of the requirement of this overlay district is that there is a 3-foot berm, so that gets a little bit of a height bump right there. The minimum requirement of the trees that we typically plant coming from the nursery are going to be about 6 feet tall. So, you know, we kind of immediately get, you know, that presence of kind of 8 to 10 feet. And then we chose stuff that was more in kind of larger shrub evergreens and kind of smaller evergreens, because we do have a overhead utility there too, so we can't just get huge. We also don't want to block the building. Building looks really good at night too, I think. And then, as Todd pointed out, the elevation of the building is about 10 feet higher, so we kind of have this lower parking lot. So we're really designing that buffer yard to kind of screen that lower parking lot, so you don't really see that the part that's kind of at the end, but you look over the top of that, and then you still see the building. So that's really the goal and objective, and then upgrading the use area in the middle too with island with landscaping in the islands that you would normally do per code if you that wasn't done previously. And I think it's just kind of an interesting use of it's a great office building use, but with the nature of his business, he's in logistics, so we need a little bit of a fleet. So that's really what this proposal became about. So we tried to kind of mitigate that view shed as best as possible. And absolutely right, we've been working on these fences for years and years along these ramps. KYTC lets us do that, and it'd be the same kind that we've done on all the ramps.
Well, congratulations on your success.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Ms. Cable?
In regards to Tanner's Gate Lane and Tanner's Lane, who's responsible for the upkeep of that road there with the potential increased traffic of trucks and whatnot? Is it the city's?
There's probably part of it that's parking lot. Can you fully?
So Tanner's Gate is private, and then the Tanner's Lane, there's a small section that we maintain.
Okay, and have we had problems in the past or any issues with?
Not really. Our section is probably from the window to the wall. That's about how long we maintain in that area, and it's all concrete, so I don't foresee any additional problems there.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, thank you. Next, we have for your discussion, the Urban Forest Commission appointment. We have an Urban Forest Commission appointment that is necessary due to the resignation of Allegra Spilly due to health reasons. George Selecki, who was a graduate of our Florence Police Department Citizens Police Academy, wanted to get more involved, and we have submitted you his resume. Is there any discussion with regard to appointing George to the Urban Forest Commission? All right, we will put that on the agenda for next week. Next is the City of Florence Transportation Improvement District Board of Trustee appointments. And I don't know if Eric, are you calling on Amy? Are you going to do it, or
No, I'm going to
introduce Amy?
Yeah, I will. Before I do that, though, I'm excited that we are at a point where we can finally put a recommendation for a board in front of you. This board, I believe, and staff, and hopefully if you've had the chance to review the resumes, this is a excellent board that we've put together for this. And I think most of you remember the TID will be tasked with reviewing, evaluating, and recommending transportation improvement projects on behalf of the City of Florence. All of those projects will go before City Council for approval before they ever move forward. And the TID board will work those projects. They will, in collaboration with either regional funding that they received or state funding or partnerships that may get put in place through this process. And you also probably remember that the board has to be, by statute, consist of 5 voting members and 1 non-voting member that is appointed by the Boone County Planning Commission, all whom have to be Florence residents. And these individuals will they're selected through their expertise there was 5 categories. I don't know if you remember when the Montrose group came and spoke. They kind of broke this into different categories that could be effective to establish a board that could be really effective in, having different views on that board. And those categories were transportation and infrastructure experts, economic development specialists, community and civic leaders, financial professionals, and regional planning representatives. We actually hit each one of those. Through the board, we hit 4 of the 5. The 5th one, which is the transportation, is what we're the experts in that field, as well as the consultants and things that we utilize. So I feel like we have a really strong board, and I know in previous meetings, Ms. Whalen, you had mentioned wanting to meet Amy, so I thought today would be a great opportunity to introduce her to you, let her tell you a little bit about her background, as well as some of the things she's been doing since she's been on staff. So, Amy, if you wouldn't mind, come to the podium, please.
Thank you, Eric. Madam Mayor, members of council. First of all, just thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for establishing a TID. For all of the reasons that Eric said, I think it's going to be really valuable to our community to have a board whose sole focus is looking at safety, congestion, economic vitality, and how that intersects with transportation improvements. So I'm really happy to have the opportunity to come to the city of Florence to take over as project manager. So thank you. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions or if you just want me to kind of do a general background introduction. First of all, I grew up in Covington, so I'm from northern Kentucky, generally grew up in this area. I went down to U of L for undergrad and for law school, so I am an attorney by trade. I practiced in Louisville for about 15 years in private practice litigation. Throughout Kentucky, also admitted in Indiana. So was kind of all across, back and forth across the state of Kentucky and over to Evansville up to the lakes. So all over in Indiana as well. So I've been corresponding with Mr. Nienaber and Mr. Wilson, so thank you for your expertise and kind of welcoming me into the fold. I know I've met some of you already, and some of you have kind of already heard my spiel out at the Florence Business Council or the Rotary Club. But just in general, once I moved back to northern Kentucky and kind of came back home, I kind of realized that public service was really my passion and public sector work. So I left private litigation, and then my first roles once I was back up this way is that I became the lead administrator for homelessness services in Cincinnati and eventually in Dayton. So what we did there was I was the lead administrator for what's considered a HUD, the Federal Catchment Area for Housing and Urban Development. So we, in my role, I applied for and then allocated out the funding that we would then receive from the federal government. So obviously a lot of red tape, a lot of experience in dealing with the feds, and then down to the state level and then to the local level. Allocating those funds, so also reviewing and evaluating the projects that would be receiving the funding that we would then allocate out and distribute. Also interacting with public officials, with stakeholders in the community, evaluating projects, strategic planning for the overall community in both Cincinnati and then in Dayton. In Cincinnati, it was around $30 million per year. In Dayton, it was about $18 million annually. So I do have some experience with the higher dollar projects and then overseeing that kind of funding, as well as facilitating the oversight board for those funds. So kind of a direct set of skill set transferring here to this project manager role. Since I've been here, thankfully, I'm back now across on this side of the river, and since January, we've been working with recruiting board members. As Eric was saying, the transportation expertise, which is on our side. We did have one person, and he was just here. It was Mr. Hall from M&P Logistics. We had a lot of conversations with him about potentially being on the board, but one of the things that Eric mentioned, the board, all of the members of the board are required to be City of Florence, actual residents of the city. And Mr. Hall is just outside the city limits, so he wasn't able to be on the board, but we do think that we have a really good slate of folks that are nominated here. My understanding is that you have a little bit of their backgrounds in your project materials. So been meeting with and recruiting with board members. Also been meeting with KYTC state officials from other cabinet level agencies at the state, other TIDs here in northern Kentucky, the Boone County TID, the Kenton County TID. Warren County has a TID down in Bowling Green, so I've been interacting with them, consulting quite a bit with the Ohio TIDs in southwest Ohio, Hamilton, Warren, Butler. They've been helping us a lot. Kind of get our feet underneath us, preparing the way for whatever the board members will need to get them started right away, bylaws, operations, vendor contacts. Also, you appointed me just recently to the OKI Transportation Subcommittee, so I've been meeting with the OKI officials and attending those meetings. We helped the city join the Kentuckians for Better Transportation, which is a statewide advocacy group that I think will be really helpful in making those connections for state funding applications. I think what's really important is that we've contracted with traffic engineers from a consulting group called Strand. So they're working on a traffic study for us for safety and congestion evaluation across the city, so that once we have data-driven ways to come up with a proposal of the program of projects for the board once they're seated. And as soon as they're seated, they'll be able to look at that, hopefully just within the next couple of months, we'll be getting them a program of projects that they can begin to review and evaluate, make some determinations, which then they would turn over to you, as Eric was saying, for final review and approval. And then also been working on some applications already for state and federal funding, overseeing and shepherding through the applications that were made last year, and some awards that you'll be hearing about later tonight. So been trying to do everything that we can to help, as soon as we get the board seated, just really hit the ground running and make an improvement in transportation for the community.
All right. Any questions?
Nope. I was just going to say, it looks like a very impressive group.
Absolutely.
That will be on the board. I was impressed with the folks that were willing to step up and help out with this. I appreciate it.
They've been really excited to get started. I've had a number of conversations with each of them now, and I think they are very impressive. They're excited to get started, and because they do have sort of that diversity of backgrounds, I think they could be really helpful with the legislature, with KYTC, with local real estate, the economic community. I think we've got a really good group.
I just add, it was in your package, so the names, the nominees are Michael Bova, Jim Henning, Kalia Holland, John Nugent, Tammy Wilson, and Tom Zerlinski. They're going to be on staggered terms. No more than 2 members' terms will expire in any 1 year. And so we'll kind of stagger them as we go along, but there will be 4-year terms once the staggering is done. Is there any other further questions with regard to the TID?
So who do we have for transportation? You said
That was what Eric
Well,
had talked about.
So that would be our piece. So we'll provide
You don't have
that.
to designate a board member specifically?
No.
No. Leslie, did you have a question?
Oh, if someone's on an existing board, they can also serve on this board? Or will they then not do another board? How does
So,
that work?
Mr. Zerlinski it was part of the requirement that someone from the Planning Commission be on this board. So yes, there would have to be somebody who
And
could.
they had to live in the city. So
Had to live in the
Wasn't
city.
there
So it has to
also-
be, it would have to be somebody on
Was there not?
2 boards.
There's a
Jim
second
Henry.
person too?
Jim is, he's on the Owen County Electric Cooperative Board.
But he's not on a city board.
Okay.
No, not on the city board.
Is that what you meant?
I just didn't know how.
Okay. All right, thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Next, we have for your discussion the Centerline Resolution. Mr. Hall?
Thank you, Mayor. So this one you've probably seen before. This has happened several times throughout my career in this role, and this is just a KYTC certification of our city-maintained streets. So this provides them, everybody's doing this, fiscal court, Boone County Fiscal Court did this last meeting or the meeting before. They're just getting that official inventory of all city streets, and that can be used for state transportation planning and funding purposes. And in some ways, it's also incorporated into the distribution of the municipal aid road funds. So this resolution just formally certifies that these streets are city-owned and maintained. We have reviewed this, went back and forth. Greg's team, I see him over there, he has looked at it and sent it back. His team has multiple times, so we feel good about where this is at. And upon the resolution, we will formally certify our streets with KYTC.
Any discussion? All right, next, and Mr. Hall, you have the next item as well. This is the local public agency reimbursement for 2 projects that we're doing, Hopeful Road and Seabree Drive.
Yes, so we were just recently in April awarded funding by the state of Kentucky on 2 applications. The funding program is called Local Assistant Road Projects. We submitted 2, Old Hopeful Road, as I know it, but Hopeful Road for $384,000 and Seabree Drive for $98,000. This funding can only be used for resurfacing projects. So we submitted both, we received both. This is an 80-20 match. And the applications, like I said, were presented during the state budget legislation and enacted in April of 2026. The MOA that we will enter into to receive the funding you have 3-year period to expend those funds. And we anticipate the design will not start until July 1 of 2027, and shortly thereafter, we will start milling and overlaying those 2 projects. So it's a great way to get some funding, save some money, and, it's about $482,000 that we'll receive in funding to do these projects that I won't be asking for during a budget retreat. So, and then as part of that, we're actually going to have Amy work these projects through the grant process just as a pilot trial, because she hasn't been through that yet. Specifically with this, so we're going to have her run these and as a way to get familiar as she works with the board. So we have assigned these 2 projects to her.
Any questions? It's always great to get free money. Always great. And we are very active in seeking out grants whenever we can, so this is just a great example. For the mayor's report, we'll encourage everybody to join the Florence Police Department this Thursday from 2 to 4 for popsicles with police. This time we're going to be at Lincoln Woods. There's some major park improvements happening over there, so we're going to be down in the lower lot by the tennis courts. And stop by and get a free popsicle, meet your local police officers, and just enjoy a fun afternoon in the park. I'm hoping that the weather is about 15 degrees cooler than last week, because it was a scorcher out there, but we still had a good crowd. Christmas in July returns to the Florence Aquatic Center this Saturday. We always do it on July 25th, and its admission is $5 per person, or 3 canned goods per person to benefit Go Pantry. Requested donation items include canned pasta and fruit cups. The Florence Aquatic Center will also host its dive-in movie night. It's a double feature, and it's Monday, July 27th. Guests can enjoy Lilo and Stitch at 4 p.m. and Twisters at 8 p.m. Admission is free for Aquatic Center members, and is true every day after 4. It's a $5 admission. For more information, contact the Florence Aquatic Center at 859-647-4619. Our crafts and classics in the city, that's our craft show and our car show, is scheduled for Saturday, August 1st from 9 to 1 at Bell Park in the historic Main Street Firehouse. The event will feature more than 60 craft and vendor booths, a car show, food trucks, live music, and family-friendly activities. Parking will be available at Florence Christian Church. For more information, contact the Administration Department at 859-647-8177. We will host National Night Out on Tuesday, August 4th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Florence Government Center. Residents are invited to enjoy a grill-out style dinner, meet city departments, first responders, elected officials, and community organizations to view emergency equipment, displays, and learn more about the services available through our community. And we do have Mr. Clift here, who's with our Veterans Commission, and we will be doing a special presentation from our Veterans Commission on that night for the dedication of our Liberty Tree. A Liberty Tree is in commemoration of the nation's 250th anniversary. Greg and his department there has been working on getting the plaque and getting approval from the Kentucky State Historical Society to be able to use their information on our logo and on their plaque, and it's been a little bit of red tape, but we are really thrilled to be able to dedicate the tree, one of our trees on our campus. So we'll be doing that night as well. Registration remains open for the Safe Sitter Essentials course on Thursday, August 13th. It's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Cobb Gathering House, and this nationally recognized course for students entering grades 6 through 8 teaches babysitting skills, safety, and emergency response. The registration fee is $40, which includes a Safe Sitter kit. Registration closes August 6th. So to register, you can call 859-647-5441. Is there anyone on council that desires recognition? Ms. Whalen.
We have a memo in here from Josh about alternative mobility vehicles, and that was a subject that we'd brought up. I guess I'd just kind of like to have a highlight of that and where you see next steps go. And,
Sure.
And, you know, the discussion about the survey and all the things that are in here.
Absolutely. So the original conversation was around e-bikes and e-scooters. I think I did bring up golf carts at one point in time. Over the years, we've had quite a few requests. Since we have discussed this, UTVs are the new talking point taking place within Boone County right now. There were some recent changes through its Senate bill that allows counties and cities and municipalities to enact legislation that allows UTVs to be operated on certain roads. So that's where the alternative mobility vehicles kind of comes in. It's all 4 of those categories, and I provided information to you in the memo on all 4 of those. So the next steps with it really is Boone County is simultaneously, they already have something out there on golf carts. They have a pretty comprehensive ordinance on that, and that was more in the Triple Crown area. They are looking at UTVs right now. They're doing a study on it, and they are doing, the county attorney's office is doing a study on e-bikes and e-scooters, so it kind of times up perfectly. All of these different KRSs, they kind of overlap. Probably the only thing that there's not a lot of legislation on, as I outlined in my memo, is e-bikes. They're kind of just regulated like a bicycle. So really, I guess in the memo, there's a few things. I recommend that we move forward with a online survey. That was part of the memo. But there's a few options with that. We've had great success at our other workshops when we do an online survey, but we also do like a postcard mailer with a QR code that links people to that survey. We've been 20 years ago, when we would do community workshops and surveys, we wouldn't get much participation. But since we started going that online route, we're seeing 60-70% participation, which is really, really good. So there is a cost with that. If council would like to move forward with this legislation, this comprehensive review, that cost is $8,000, not to exceed. I think it'll actually come in around $6,000, and that is just going to be a postcard with a QR code that sends people to the link. If you want to do a more in-depth and probably targeted to only residencies or only businesses, we can mail out the survey and accept written replies. That is a lot more work. I don't have the staff to do that. So if we want to go that route, we can. Budget, we'd have to do a budget amendment for about $50,000 if we wanted to go that route. And probably hire an outside consultant to compile all those written statements and surveys that were brought back in. In terms of the survey, the draft survey, I guess is what I will call it, it kind of hits, I think I outlined this in the memo, but it hits usage patterns is kind of the first part of it, how you use them, the perceived benefits, safety concerns, operational priorities, and then potential regulations from a high level. So, i.e., should there be age restrictions, which is the most common part of this conversation. And really what this is really going to get into is, do you allow certain vehicles to operate on our sidewalks and bike paths? That's really the biggest part of the conversation. So, and then within that, I did lay out a calendar or a proposed timeline of what this would take if you went with basically just an online-only survey. If we went with the bigger paper-mailed survey, this would kick it out some. It's going to take a lot more prep. I'd say probably 2 or 3 months. But this is when we could get it done by, based off of what we laid out within the memo. I'm not an expert on all this stuff. I am learning a lot. Happy to answer what questions I know right now about it, and I guess get your direction on, do you just want to do a postcard? Do you want to do a full-out mailer? Or do you just want to push it out via social media? That's really kind of the options there.
Is this something that council wants to discuss? Ms. Cable, did you say?
I was just going to ask, as a way to save money, to not spend as much, is there something that potentially is going out around this time that we could piggyback off of, so we're not just sending a mailer for, or, spending $6,000 to $8,000?
Yeah, so typically, water bills is something that we looked at, but the timing of that was going to push the timeline out too long.
And we have a lot of online
Yeah, and you can get
customers now that don't get a bill.
We can look at like the what's happening. Melissa, do you know off the top of your head, hate to put you on the spot, when the next what's happening is going out?
August 4th.
Okay, August 4th. So we could look at maybe trying to do
They've
something
already-
there, but that is.
They've already had,
is it-
like, their deadline's months.
But that's kind of buried. I think you would see participation drop off with something like that. If the goal is to get participation, it's a mailer with a postcard and a QR. It's been very, very successful for us in our other workshops that we put on there. And it's really, we can absorb it in the budget, but there's a chance that we'll have to do a budget amendment for $6,000 to $8,000 down the road for that.
The only thing the county's working on, what are they working on? The sheriff said something to me the other night about, they had somebody working on pieces of legislation trying to look at these e-bikes and how to protect the kids that are on them as well as the drivers that are in front of them.
Correct. So they are looking at e-bikes and scooters. I think the fiscal court had add on UTVs because there's a push right now within the county to allow UTVs on certain portions and certain roads. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know where the UTVs stand. But a lot of this memo was actually drafted from some of the legal work that their county attorneys have did on e-bikes and scooters. So they're right in the middle of that process. I think it's very important. The timing is probably pretty close. I don't have any idea of when their wrap-up date is for that. But we do want continuity. The last thing we want is regulations on a county road that bump into a city road to be night and day. They're not doing any kind of special community engagement. That's something that's a little bit unique to us. A lot of calls on this, a lot of complaints, and actually on social media, I'm sure those that are active on there, there's been a lot of posts recently about e-scooters and kids going through intersections and not stopping. It's more and more issue. And then from a different side of this, I noticed within the last 3 or 4 weeks, somebody on Caton was actually doing Uber Eats deliveries from an e-bike, which I thought was kind of unique for our area. You don't see that a lot, or something that's trending more. So there is a workforce component of this as well.
I thought I read that Fort Thomas was discussing that as well, that they have we're talking about legislation.
They were, and it blew up, and that had to do with sidewalks, and I don't know the exact particulars, but I think they were going to allow them on sidewalks, and then a lot of residents came out that were upset with that. It is certainly, this is one piece of legislation that I guarantee you, there's going to be sides that are unhappy regardless of what way you go with it.
I believe Fort Mitchell is looking at it pretty close to having some public workshops as well.
Yeah. The golf carts is interesting. I know that wasn't a part of the original scope, but we have had many calls over the years, specifically within Orleans and other areas, and it's a good time to gauge that and just kind of see what the appetite is for council. The only person I really feel bad for is the police department, because they've got to police all this stuff, so. And that's something else that has to be weighed by this council. What this looks like for staffing. Are we doing our own inspections? There's a lot that goes into depending on what way the legislation is set up.
It's scary seeing these little e-bikes going down US 42. That's not good.
Well, and they call them e-bikes. There's some of these things that they can modify that run like 50 miles an hour. I'm like, that's a motorcycle. So you have to get into that, and then just briefly talking to Chief, not to put words in his mouth, but you get into, somebody putting a 10cc sticker on the side of a motor when it's really a 50cc, and getting into policing that side of things, it becomes very, very difficult. So maybe there's a license, but there's so many ways you can go with it. I can tell you that there's not one clean ordinance that I would model. They're that messy, and I'm looking outside the state and everywhere for that perfect ordinance that would fit us, and just I haven't found anything yet.
Chief, are you all getting lots of calls and responding to lots of concerns from residents?
We are, and most of it is kids on e-bikes or scooters out in Orleans or in the parks, and the problem with that is when we go out, they take off into the woods, we can't chase them, and, we can't chase them legally and stuff like that. And then it falls back on the parents. If we do find them and catch them, then the parents have to do their job in parenting their kids and telling them that they can't have them in the parks or on the roads and stuff like that. So it's a battle for us, because like Josh was saying, there's so many different categories of these things, and that's what the county, one of our lieutenants has sat in on some meetings with the county, and there's just so many different categories, and they got to figure out what speed, what CCs, and all that on them. So
the enforcement nightmare, any way you look at it, you have no teeth to it now.
correct. The only
You can't
thing,
chase them now, and it's still the parents' responsibility to be parents. The only thing that changes if we regulate it is that there's potentially a fine and potentially some legal ramifications, but it still falls on the parents to be parents.
and then if we're citing the juvenile, then that's going to tie up the court designated workers, and it's just going to tie up everybody. But it's not, if it's something we need to do to get it under control, and that's something we have, we will do it. But yeah, we just got to figure out the best course of action to take.
Yeah.
So Josh, you talked about the county. Would it be beneficial then, just hearing, kind of like you're saying that we're sitting in on their group, would it be beneficial if we kind of sat down with the county to find out what they're doing, and then maybe even have it presented? Like, is it something we have to do, or can we, it would apply to the county, whatever the county does would apply to us, or?
Correct. It doesn't, we don't have to do it, but it would make all the sense in the world to do it. The one thing that scares me a little bit, and I don't know how this council feels about UTVs, or if you even have an opinion on it yet. If the county was to adopt that, does that make sense in an urban core? And then you get some differentiating things there, but dialogue and sitting down and looking at what the county's doing makes all the sense in the world, and we will be doing that.
So I guess my question, does anybody else have any further discussion?
I have so many questions.
Okay.
So I don't understand why, this is an issue of safety, right? This is an
Can
issue
be.
of what's the best way to keep these kids safe, the people that are walking safe. everyone safe, right? So I don't understand why we need a survey to decide how to keep people safe. So that's the first thing I don't understand. And then, so the, Chief Mallory, so you're saying right now, whenever the kids, when these kids are seen like driving erratically in the middle of the street or whatever law they're breaking, our officers don't have a way to enforce anything? Because I feel like they do.
Right now, the only thing that, as far as scooters, that we have a law against is the electric scooters. You have to be 16 years of age and have a license to drive, or 16 years of age to drive an e-scooter. The electric bikes and all that, we don't have a law on right now. So the only thing we can enforce is the scooters.
So it's perfectly legal to, even if I don't have an electric bike, to ride a bike in the middle of a street?
No, you have to follow the laws of the road and stuff like that.
So if if a youth that is recklessly driving an e-bike is in the middle of the street riding it, I don't understand where the barrier is to enforce safety and enforce the law.
It's not a barrier to enforce safety. It's what laws that we are going to
Well, you just said it's
cite
illegal.
them for.
I guess I'm confused because you just said it's not legal to ride it in the middle of the street, right?
As like a pedestrian or on anything like that. If it's a roadway or with a sidewalk, you have to be on the sidewalk. If there's no sidewalk, you have to be on the side of the road as close to the median or the side of the road as you can. So it would go under a pedestrian law that we could stop them and again, cite the juvenile, and it would go to the parents. The parents would have to pay whatever, or take them to court, whatever that process is.
I know a little bit about that process.
I'm clear.
And that can definitely be a deterrent to the children and the parents. It will. If these kids like I just saw my son's friend riding in the middle of, was it Gerard or whatever that's over there by my house? And he was riding right in the middle of the street. I don't understand why that's not enforceable to stop him and cite him, and then things will become safer. I don't understand. I just don't understand why we need.
But we don't see them all the time. We didn't see that kid. So I mean, we
These
can do it.
officers are on these kids. These officers are amazing. They know exactly who these kids are. And I'm sure that if I saw this, that our officers see them because they're everywhere all the time. They're great. So I don't know. I guess I just don't understand how the officers are not empowered currently to enforce the safety of this so we can help our community feel safer when they're walking or when they're driving and the kids are out there. I don't think we need a survey to do that.
No, we don't. But as far as having teeth, to have the laws that on these e-bikes and stuff like that, that's what we need.
Yeah, and we don't legislate through survey. I know that the medical cannabis was a little bit different because state law explicitly, gave us that option. That's what council chose to do. The survey is more than just e-scooters. This gets into golf carts. I want to know, I also want to know, are people...
Didn't South Centura just sponsor a bill a few years ago where we are now, there's already legislation around the golf carts?
There's some legislation around the golf carts, correct. But I personally want to know what people's opinion are based on where they live. Do you want to see it? Do you not want to see it? Do you want to allow them on bike paths? Do you not want to allow them on bike paths? We've had many conversations where you're talking about wanting citizen engagement. I can't think of a better process than to actually ask for citizen engagement and get their opinions on this. I'll write legislation. Just give me some direction if you don't want to do it. Probably won't like it, but I'm happy to do it.
Any other discussion?
I think this is a statewide conversation, and it is a gray area.
Is your mic on?
I attended
Mike.
a conference, I attended a Kentucky League of Cities conference, and we spent 2 hours on this, and we came up with no correct answer. Because each city is different, each county is different, topography and roadways are different, so you almost have to look within your own city, and I think the survey coming from the residents could add some flavor to how we act.
Yeah, I'm really interested in who's using them for workforce development,
Right.
that kind of stuff. I think that's a factor that gets overlooked. And a lot of these are residential communities that have these ordinances. We're not that. We have huge employment homes throughout the city, and I do notice people in their work attire riding them in different areas. Like I said, the Uber Eats, that was very unique. Somebody did bring up, and I know I didn't mention this in the memo, about like mobility scooters. Those are exempt. It's probably worth bringing that up because that's ADA protected. So it really doesn't matter what we pass there. If you see somebody on one of those mobility scooters, those are allowed by right. It would be basically federal preemption if we try to regulate those. And I know there's no desire to do that, but somebody did ask me about that recently.
Any other discussion?
I would,
Ms. Wingo?
I just, I see a lot of people on Pleasant Valley Road. And where my challenges come in are the electric bicycles that are going, 25 miles an hour on the sidewalk. And I know it's a multi-use path, but multi-use path for a bicycle is different than an e-bike that's flying down the road. A couple of the other things where I have challenges with is, and probably, as an adult, do what you need to do, but as a child, you need to have a helmet on. And anybody that lets their child walk out that door without that helmet on, I mean, they're negligent parents, because all that child needs to do is fall once. I mean, we had one that just fell in the driveway and had a traumatic brain injury. So, going 15 miles an hour down the road and falling and hitting the guardrail. I mean, I've seen kids fall over. Thank God I haven't seen one fall into Pleasant Valley Road. But I've seen them fall over and hit things, and that, they're kids. And again, some of this is parents teaching traffic laws. You don't ride a scooter across a don't walk sign when cars are turning or have an arrow. You just don't do it, but these kids they're not getting the education on how to ride these things correctly, or if they are, they're not paying attention. And so that's where my challenges come in. Kids are going to be kids, we all know that, but anything we can do to at least try to make this better for them. Try to make it safer for them. Again, adults are going to do what adults are going to do. I've seen them ride the e-bikes on the road on US 42. That's not safe either, and they ride side by side. So I don't think a postcard's a bad idea, only because it does give people a chance to voice. I think there are a lot of people that have issues with all these different mechanized vehicles that are out there. And I think it gives them an opportunity to just express how they feel about them and what they think, and suggestions that we may not be thinking of. I don't think a class for kids would be a bad idea for them to have to take a class. I mean, do you remember we had what were they called? You had the bicycle safety cities?
Like rodeo.
Yeah, and I remember where I grew up, they had them at Tri-County, and they actually had a big
Safety
section
City.
of the parking lot at Tri-County Mall that was painted like Safety City, and kids
Yes.
were taught what they did in certain circumstances. So, I don't think it's a bad idea to try and teach them something.
Sure, and the most comprehensive programs do have that. I'd love to see it, but then it boils down to cost, who's doing it, and that's all things that we have to get into down the road once a draft ordinance is established. Because it's more an ordinance, it's programming, it's inspection possibly, and that's a lot just to put on one department, so.
Ms. Whalen?
I guess I'd like to see us engage with the county, see where they are with theirs, see where we differ from theirs. Obviously, just like zoning, there are things that apply within the city limits and things that apply without. But if we can sit down with the county and have a conversation, see where they're going with it, bring that back, and then couple that with the QR code or the way to engage additional information from residents themselves. I don't think it's anything we need to be in a huge hurry to push forward, but to gather the right information so we're not battling against that as well as the community.
That's good feedback. I mean, this was as aggressive of a timeline as I could push it, and knowing that there's probably going to be factors that come up that could delay it some. So we'll have that conversation and see where, and I'll report back on it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else?
Can
on
I
the
say
council?
one more thing?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
Alyssa.
so sorry.
Sorry.
So anyone that wants to bypass the survey, the formal survey or the cost of that, all of our emails are on the Florence City website. Feel free to email us or Facebook us. Most of us will be happy to listen to your feedback and anytime you want to send it.
Thank you,
If you
Leslie.
would, if that is an option we're going to do, I would appreciate if those would be sent to us so we can have a scientific model that we can apply to the rest of our surveys. If you're just doing emails, there's nothing scientific about it. So forward those on.
Very good. Any other discussion items, council? How about department heads? No? Anyone in the audience desire recognition? Come up to the podium, please.
You got to sit up front, Joe. Too slow.
Fixing the pothole in front of my driveway. Very good job. I'd like to put my 2 cents in on the UTVs. So my boyfriend is originally from a small town in western New York called Bemis Point. And Bemis Point is a very, very small little town on the Chautauqua Lake. It's a tourist destination by the Chautauqua Institute. And they legalized UTVs a few years ago. And it's been an unmitigated disaster. So first of all, they've got people with golf carts who don't feel the need to follow traffic regulations. So they've had a problem specifically with the golf carts and the UTVs parking on people's property, not parallel parking properly, just leaving them in the middle of the road. There's also been problems with the e-bikes. I don't think we can stop them. But the golf carts in particular have just been a menace to the people who live there. And so I think looking at Bemis Point and seeing a much smaller scale city, I mean, this is like a teeny tiny little town with a couple thousand people. And so to see those issues, and it's specifically hard for them during the summer months because it is a tourist destination. They're right on the lake. They've got all of those water things you can do, and there's an alpaca farm that people go to. And it's just this lovely slice of Americana. But again, specifically with the golf carts, I mean, last year we went for a wedding, and it was just like, I couldn't believe that these golf carts were parking on people's front yards. Because they just felt they could because it's not a regular size car. So I think that needs to be taken into account, whether these people have the mindset that they have to still listen to actual traffic regulation, which has not happened there. And I don't know if it's because the town hasn't made that clear, or these people just are tourists so they don't care. I don't know, but I think that's something to put a pin in so that as we are considering this.
Thank you, Naomi.
Thank you.
Josh, make sure we probably need to include that. We didn't discuss parking of these vehicles and where they can be parked. Would we park them on the streets or, so I think she brings up a good point. So let's add that to our list. Anyone else in the audience desire recognition? If you come, all right, Jack, come on up.
You know, this session has almost been a bladder test.
It is. I agree with you.
It can't get much longer, and good news, bad news. Good news is I won't be around forever. Bad news is I'm here tonight. Plus, I got some other news. I don't know if you all remember Dan Marsh that worked for the city, that his daughter got paralyzed. She got married. And they've got a house, and they did a honeymoon. And it's something that you could see on the Hallmark Channel. That's one good news. Now, my other news is my black grandson, he adopted me, I didn't adopt him, that moved from where the Wawa is going to be in the next 5 years, over close to Sam's Club. And they planned this trip to Italy for a couple of years, so they went to Italy. When they came back, they decided they'd rather be in Florence, Kentucky than Florence, Italy. That's all I got to say about that. That's the good news. Now we're going to start raising hell. I'm like Jesus. I love everybody, some more than others, and I am so impressed with Josh. He takes a bath in Teflon because everything kind of just slides off. The July the 4th celebration on July the 3rd, which is kind of confusing because now we're going to have April Fool's Day on March the 31st, but I'll get over it. I know I will. There was no handicap parking, none. There was all kind of empty spaces in front of the thing, but they were blocked off. You couldn't go up there. So I went up Hamburger Hill, went in, and asked the little girls that were seeing that you weren't carrying a bomb or anything in, if anybody had ever complained. They said, yeah, a lot of people had. So who is in charge of making that happen?
I told you Friday, I am. That's me. Look, we will analyze shuttles. What we had planned is that I guess we didn't plan on, in hindsight, people not getting dropped off that needed front door accessibility to the site and having somebody else park the car. You brought up a good point. We're going to look at shuttles next year. We had taught in different events, we have did handicap accessible parking in that front lot. We did have, traffic controllers in there getting people parked. The event did turn out a lot more people than I think what we were even anticipating. So we'll have to look at reserving a couple hundred handicap parking spots or doing a designated area with shuttles is kind of what we're planning for. And we'll probably incorporate that at our next big event, which will be Halloween Night Out.
There's a reason people have these.
I recognize that.
And I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The designated handicap parking is behind the stadium.
they wouldn't let you park there.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
blocked off.
Yeah,
It was
so
blocked
Because of the
off.
that's
fireworks.
probably why
And
Yeah.
vendor
it's an issue.
parking.
Yeah.
I've got so used to this, and also at the senior center, all the spots could be handicapped because they don't have enough parking there. So we're going to proceed on with this. So I go in and look at the thing and do the stuff. I go down to the souvenir place, which the carnival people call a souvenir slum plush. I come back up, and there's a guy sitting there at a picnic table and says, "Hi, Joe." And I'm thinking, how does this guy know me? So he went to school with my daughter down at Lloyd. That's a long story. And he watches on the thing, the TV or whatever it is, which somebody watches, and he says, he lives right around the corner from my house. So that was a great thing. So we're going to move on to other little situations. I kind of been holding off on this. I don't know whose idea it was to put a food pantry behind the senior center, and I don't know who okayed that.
Do you not want to feed the seniors? I'm confused.
Whoa, whoa.
I'm
You got a
confused.
70-year-old woman on a walker competing with a 30-year-old homeless guy to go to the food pantry. Now, who do you think's going to win that race?
I'm confused. The pantry there is for the seniors. It's only stocked once a week.
So what about if the homeless guy comes and gets something out of there? What happens then?
I suppose if they are in need of food.
Well, that isn't doing the seniors a bit of good, is it?
I'm sure that the seniors would be able to communicate through their senior center staff if they were not able to get out there and get the food.
We've had no reported issues of that.
Yeah, there's
I
no
just did.
recorded issues.
You just reported it? You saw
Yeah.
it with your own eyes?
What?
You saw it? You saw
I
that
saw it's
happen?
empty.
But did you see a 30-year-old take food out of there? Because I'm going to
No,
check
but
the cameras.
I didn't see a 70-year-old woman take it out
It's
of there
only
either.
stocked once a week.
It's only stocked
so that
once a week, and it was
it's
already
for the
gone.
seniors.
I
It's stocked once a week.
I
So
told
we're
you
on the
that-
honor system.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
in my world, when I give something, I don't have to advertise it. I don't have to have my name all over town. I don't have to advertise I'm giving something. And to me, I always thought the Kiwanis was the thing, being seen, not doing something. In my personal opinion, Kiwanis reminds me of an African venereal disease. Bawana's got Kiwanis, and he got it from the lady next door. So they don't impress me by putting all these signs and everything up. Give the food, move on. That's my opinion.
What else can we do for you, Joe?
Huh?
What else can we do for you?
Well, this car here was parked at the library for 5 days, overnight. Now, there's a sign up that says nobody's supposed to be there between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. My ladies across the street, Joey's Angels, it's kind of worried them if somebody's there that they don't know what's going on. So who? We got the letter from the library to enforce the rules.
We'll have patrol run by and check the car.
It's gone now. It was 5
Well-
days.
Okay.
It's
So who
private
was supposed
property,
to-
correct?
Huh?
Or is it public? It's not our property.
But the library would be the ones that would have to call in.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah,
report it.
But our
It
patrol
wasn't our
guys can check it
property.
too.
I don't know if it was a staff member that went to a week-long training or.
They
who
said
knows?
you had to have a letter. We got the letter. You can enforce their rules. They sent the letter to you.
For trespassing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they
Like
were
I said,
there.
we can have patrol go and check it.
Well, where were they all these days that the thing was there? My lady said they were there for 2 weeks.
Okay. I don't know if the library called us or not.
Do they have to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps. Yeah. They don't have to.
Okay, then, a couple of Wednesdays back, Wednesday morning, 6:30, there was a fight on the porch at the library.
Okay.
2 police cars, 3 officers came. Did they run the guys off? The sign says 8 to 8. They didn't run them off. How come?
I don't know. I wasn't there. I can check into it.
Well, somebody's telling them not to do anything.
I'm sorry?
Somebody's telling them not to run anybody in or do anything.
No, nobody's telling them not to do anything.
Well, then
They're
why
telling
don't they
them
do
to enforce the law.
anything?
If
They-
they're fighting
Can
and we
they
don't
read the
see it,
signs?
we can't, huh?
The sign says nobody's supposed to be there.
From 8 to 8.
Yeah, Jeff Aarons, the guy in charge of property management,
Mm-hmm.
put the sign up.
Okay. Well, then we will get with the library. If they want that enforced, we'll trespass the people.
The library is a trailhead for the Gaza Strip. They schedule a lot of their stuff after the Gaza Strip people leave to go to the Mary Rose Supper Club. Here's a picture of the library's bench they put in. This is so they can't lay down. It has arms on it, like in bus stations, train stations. The bench out in front of the library on the sidewalk, the people sleep on it. Now, if we had arms, I would eliminate them sleeping there. Basically, that was a bus stop. Nellie McCarty lived in the house across the street. She was on the tank bus board. The tank bus stopped there to pick her up, and they dropped her off in front of her house. A post for a sign is still there for the bus stop. So if the bench wasn't there, it would probably be better. Now we get down to my friend Gary Mundo. Snuggy's mattress. He painted his building, and he was told he needed a $450 permit to paint it. Now, I've never heard of people being charged to maintain their property. Is there any truth to that?
Planning commission fee, what is the fee? Do you know?
It's a minor, there's design guidelines on Mall Road. There's a color palette on Mall Road, so if you paint your building brand-new colors, the question is, does it comply with the design guidelines? If you're painting the same colors, you would not need a permit. So
Well,
there is a,
who determines what colors it should be?
The Boone County Planning Commission.
What, does it take $450 to come up with a color?
They set the permit fees, we don't have.
Whoa.
They set them.
It's your town.
It is our town.
they do planning and zoning for the whole county, so a minor site plan application would be.
Well, you just slip it right in with whatever they do then.
I'm sorry.
I think I could come up with a color for about $4.50. I wouldn't have to be $450.
Once again, that's a planning commission site plan application. They set their fee schedule.
Okay, how many people from Florence are on the planning commission?
6.
Hello? There we go. So as a result of that, Gary Mundo sold his building. He's had enough. he's gone. So we've eliminated a local business person because of something like that. It's totally ridiculous. That is totally ridiculous. I can't believe that. So we sit there, we run people off. We have the homeless people running the city, doing whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do it. I don't know what we're going to do. Now, there's a solution that we've come up with the library deal. They had $4 million laid aside to redo the Florence Library. Well, it didn't take anybody very long to figure out that that's a waste of time. Because if you polish a turd, it's still a turd. So there's no way that the $4 million is going to do any good. A solution to that would be, and it would be a very smart solution, is for the city to buy the library thing, do their kids' things or whatever the hell they're going to do with it. They'd have a whole block of real estate that they can control. The fact that they own that building, it would make the library move on and get something done. Otherwise, they're going to have a committee on a committee after a committee to pick a committee to have another committee, and this thing's going to drag on forever. So I think there's a solution to some of your problems, but somebody's going to jump in there and call some shots. I don't consider that a very good charitable thing when we put our name up in the thing. My
So you
grandfather
do it,
always
would
said,
you?
don't tell me how honest you are, just show me. Well, I guess I made enough people mad and probably lost several votes, but that's the way it goes. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Anyone else in the audience desire recognition?
One thing real quick, because I'm kind of with this. I'm ready to go. I got my stuff. Real quick, I agree with you on the survey thing. I think $8,000 to send out these mailers is ridiculous. Josh, I'm with you. I'm a social chick. I'm all over it. I've seen the videos. Why don't we, you have a website? Why don't we, do you have a website? You're also on social media. Can't you say, let's do a survey? Because I love what's happening. I read it. I'm in a condo, 12, and in the garbage is about 10 of those. So people don't read these things. They don't do it. I totally agree with you. I've seen the remarks. It's both sides. I think you could get a good opinion from the people that are on social media on that
Yeah,
and save some of this.
Appreciate the comments, for
Yeah.
sure.
And all you people out there,
But yeah,
come to
so
the
we-
meetings.
It's an issue that we've debated far and wide in
Yeah.
terms of what percentage of our population is on social media. And
I know that too.
And I couldn't
It's
even
less than
throw out a
anything.
number, but it's not all of our residents.
No.
I can tell you though, when you're batting 70% participation from a flyer.
Do you get that much?
Yeah,
Yes.
on our last two public workshops, we hit that, which is, when I go back 20 years, long time ago.
I don't believe I saw the marijuana
We
one.
might do 25% participation to a survey. That was really probably before
Right.
social media, so it was mailing in. That makes sense. We
Yeah.
would get a lot of people that responded. It's really a matter of how much participation do you want. I have no doubt that, because we would certainly promote it on social media.
I think you're going to get the most verbiage from those people. I've read them. They're crazy.
They've got a lot to
And
say.
parenting classes would probably be cheaper.
Yes, ma'am, they got a lot to say.
I'm with you on that.
But I do think we would have more participation if we did online blast, advertisement, plus a postcard.
Yeah, okay. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you. Anyone else desire recognition? If not, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Nguyen,
Second.
second by Ms. Wingo. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for coming.